I don't know if he's gonna bring like the same energy he brings in the last 10 seconds of every round. Like when he does this, I'm gonna knock him out in the first round because in the moment he's gonna stop in the middle and start the exchange, the punches with me. I recommend him to use a Hamlet because he's gonna need it.
Is he fucking awesome?
Dana would definitely be saying that right now.
So Ilia Topuria has his first title defense at UFC 308 against Max Holloway. Today I will be going over a list of about 10 fighters that could either beat Ilia, be competitive with him, or get absolutely steamrolled by him. Even though Ilia's my favorite fighter, I'm going to try to be unbiased and realistic.
So to begin the tier list, I want to start off with a highly anticipated matchup for Ilia. If Ilia makes a defense and this other guy makes a defense, they will definitely meet up in the future. No other than Sean O'Malley.
So this fight is very interesting. Ilia has great grappling, great jiu-jitsu. His wrestling's good. His striking's obviously amazing. His base was jiu-jitsu, but my only thing is, would he go by the game plan?
And obviously the easiest way for him to win this fight is to mix it up. Level change.
Make Sugar worry of the takedowns and start letting his hands go, right? But my thing is, Ilia has a big ego. If he starts getting tagged by Sean O'Malley, I don't know if he, would still follow the game plan and try to mix it up.
So with that being said, Sean O'Malley has a lot of weapons to disrupt Ilia on the feet. One being his teep kicks. I think it'd be kind of hard for Ilia to, get past that in the beginning. He has to, find that timing first. Like I said, if he is able to, mix it up, he could definitely catch the kicks and take Ilia down with like a double leg or a single leg. But I'm not really sure if he would do that. And honestly, like I said, I think that he's going to try to strike with him. So the teeps, he has a great jab. He's able to switch stances. I think his southpaw jab would actually be a better target on Ilia than his orthodox jab. He has great straights to the body. I think also his head kicks would be a very, very viable weapon in that matchup. Something as simple as even, just kicking his guard, bringing his hands down, that would give Ilia a lot of problems. Nobody really goes to Ilia's body. If you watch that Bryce Mitchell fight, I believe Bryce Mitchell landed a knee. As soon as he landed that knee, Ilia went on retreat. I think he might be a little weak to the body, but we'll have to see in the future. Who knows? I definitely saw something there. It looked like he was definitely a little hurt to the body. Sean O'Malley has great step-in knees. We've seen that versus Chito Vera. If he's able to, disrupt Ilia's blitz, that would definitely be another target. And like I said, those head kicks, Ilia has almost like a Canelo bob and weave style, like when it comes to the boxing. He bob and weave side to side. Head kicks are always there. That will definitely intercept that head movement. I think that's another target for him. And overall, just the length. I think Sean O'Malley's going to have a lot of success versus Ilia on the feet. But when Ilia starts closing the distance, putting him against the fence, slipping and ripping to the body, it's going to be a very, very bad night for Sean O'Malley. He has nasty power, nasty body shots. I think he's going to be able to, tough it out on the feet and be able to start finding that mark on Sean. But like I said, anything can happen. One head kick could put Ilia to sleep. You never know. He has a great chin. He's durable, but you never know. I just hope he doesn't take Sean lightly, because Sean, he might be goofy looking, but that dude's an elite striker, one of the best strikers today. Honestly, in that fight, to sum it all up, I would put Sean O'Malley at a 50-50 chance. I know it might be a hot take, but if you think about it stylistically, Sean O'Malley does a lot of things that would disrupt Ilia's style.
So the next fighter we have is an exciting fighter. He goes by the name of Diego Lopez. So Diego Lopez, honestly, I think this is a pretty easy, fight to predict. I really don't see what Diego Lopez can do differently that would, disrupt Ilia. He's very reckless. When he blitzes in, his entries are very, very, exposed and telegraphed. I think he'd run into a lot of shots from Ilia. With Diego Lopez, he has good jiu-jitsu, overall elite submission ability. I don't see any way he takes Ilia down. His wrestling is not that great. It's pretty subpar, honestly. He hasn't really been able to implement good wrestling on anyone, even the certain, basic variations of takedowns, like a single leg, double leg, or even a body lock or something like that, a trip. He's not really great there. Also, Ilia does have really, really good takedown defense. So I don't see him having success in that field either. He's going to have to strike with Ilia, and that's just a recipe for disaster. He's going to get countered at will, and he's going to get stopped. He doesn't like straight shots. If you even see a little bit of the fight against Sadiq Yusuf, I think Sadiq landed maybe like 2 jabs on him. I know it's literally nothing, but the way he was reacting to those shots was really telling to me. and then versus Dan Ige. I think that if Dan Ige was on a full camp, he would be able to beat Diego Lopez, honestly. You know, he was in the third round, he started exposing the body. He started ripping to the body. I just think he's a very, very easy target to find. Also, you know, he's very long, so it's easier for Ilia to slip under his shots and find the mark. I just think the matchup when it comes to Ilia Topuria versus Diego Lopez is just so much in Ilia's favor. And it's honestly, you know, a stylistic matchup for the taking. It's like lunch meat, honestly. With that being said, I would place Diego Lopez at the low chance tier. So the next fighter we have, in my opinion, is the featherweight GOAT, Alexander Volkanovski, of course. So in a rematch, I do believe that Volkanovski would do well yet again, you know, with his jab, his leg kicks. Granted, Ilia at times was out leg kicking Volkanovski, which is, you know, very impressive. He likes to sport the high guard, so I think the jab's always going to find the mark, even on the guard. It looks good for the judges, and it ultimately just scores points. The thing about the fight, though, is that anytime Volkanovski commits to his blitz, he's always going to be in danger. As soon as Volkanovski's back foot starts, you know, hitting towards the cage, it's going to be very bad once again. He backs up in straight lines very, very often, and also his chin is always in the air. It's a trait that he's had since the beginning, since he joined the UFC. I don't think he's really going to be able to correct it because, you know, when the shit hits the fan, he's going to go back to his instinct. I think it's going to happen again, unfortunately. You know, Volk's a great fighter. I don't want to see that again. Like I said, I do think he can have a lot of success. You never know. Maybe there's a chance that he's able to stay away from that one shot and maybe win a decision. But even then, like, when it comes down to it, I think Ilia already showed he could go 5 rounds. And he can strike with Volk. So it's not like, oh, if he survives, he wins the fight. I still think it would be like a 3-2 decision if it were to go 5 rounds. And I think Ilia will win based off of damage. He has more of the damage in shots. So honestly, I put Alexander Volkanovski at the decent chance tier. The next contender we have is Jorge Rodriguez. This is another one that I think is pretty simple for me. There wouldn't be a lot of ego going into this fight. I know they've had a little bit of their back and forth, but I feel like this would be another, you know, routine defense for Ilia. He wouldn't have a lot of emotions going into it. So I do think that he would go by the game plan. I do think that he will ultimately take Yair down. No disrespect, but we know Yair has some quit in him. And I think Ilia would sub him maybe like in the second or third round. Maybe a rear naked choke or arm triangle. Yes, Yair would cause problems on the feet at times because he has, you know, sneaky kicks, dangerous kicks. They come from every angle. Spinning heel kicks, fucking front kick up the middle. He has all these dangerous shots, step in knees, but he doesn't have the hands, you know, to really hide it. If you notice with Yair, he throws a lot of naked kicks. At times he'll throw his 2 to hide behind, you know, the roundhouse, but it's just, you know, at certain times he doesn't do it too much. So I don't think he's going to really try to set anything up with his hands and then come up with the kick. And when he throws those naked kicks at Ilia can either catch the kick and take him down, or, you know, he might be able to counter him with a big shot and hurt him real bad. So I really don't really see how Yair could really win this fight. His chances are really low. That's why I put him at low chance to beat Ilia at this point. So the next contender we have is Lon Murphy. Lon Murphy, he's very unexperienced at this point. He had a great fight against Edson Barbosa, pretty much dominated him. I wasn't really a fan of the Gabriel Santos performance. He went to a split decision, and then David Onama put him to sleep. So, I mean, kind of worrying. He's very open at times. I noticed he throws a lot of his shots, and he's very exposed. He's still in the center line. I don't really like that against a guy like Ilia. Overall, he's just not experienced at this point, and I don't see anything that is, you know, very glaring, like, oh, it's very dangerous here. Oh, this could exploit Ilia's game. Like, I don't see anything in Lon Murphy's game at this point that would give Ilia any fits. So I would have to put Lon Murphy at the hell no tier. Next up on the tier list, we have a former bantamweight, arguably top 3 champion of all time, Alain Sterling. Honestly, I think Alain gets a bad rap. He's a very, very elite fighter. He's good. His striking is not as bad as perceived. I'm not saying it's amazing, but he has some stand-up ability. You know, even outstrike Cater. Granted, there was a takedown threat, but he still did well in the boxing exchanges. Honestly, surprised me. I'm not going to lie. Alain has, you know, great wrestling. He was able to take down Henry Cejudo, Peter Yan, guys like that, Cody Stamen. They got good takedown defense. But when it comes to Ilia Topuria, I don't see how Aljamain takes him down. Aljamain likes to work a lot of his entries off the fence. Double legs, honestly, preferably is double legs. I don't see how he takes Ilia down against the cage, especially. It kind of boosts his takedown defense because he just has to get underhooks, and there you go. I wouldn't even be surprised if Ilia reverses him because I feel like Ilia's even wrestling and his Greco-Roman and his grappling hasn't really been, put to a test. But I think it's going to, impress in these future matchups and defenses. But like I said, Aljamain is not going to take him down most likely. And if he does, I'm confident Ilia works his way up back to his feet. Aljamain throws a lot of straight shots. That's really his, go-to when it comes to like boxing. His kicks are very unorthodox and unexpected. They don't really have a lot of snaps, so I don't really see, him hurting Ilia with a head kick. Ilia's going to slip in between, Aljamain's shots and counter him badly. I don't really rate Aljamain's chin, especially, he's moving up, so he's not cutting as much weight, but these dudes hit harder, especially Ilia Topuria. He's the hardest hitting 145er on the planet. Maybe Josh Emmett, it's a debate. I guess you could say it's Josh Emmett, but he's top 2, right? He has more snap though, and he has better punch placement than anyone at 145, and that's very dangerous, and he's accurate. So in my opinion, this is another defense for the taking. I do think Aljamain is a very good fighter, but honestly, I'd put Alain Sterling at the low chance tier. The next contender we have is an exciting, established, experienced featherweight, and his name is Brian Ortega. Brian Ortega, like a lot of these other guys that I just mentioned, has good submission ability. Wrestling is very subpar. It's not effective at all, honestly. His striking is decent. He's had a good jab, but he hasn't really showcased it lately. He did against TKZ, but that was, I think it was like 4 years ago, 2020, so it's been a while. Again, this prediction, is pretty simple. He's not going to be able to take down Ilia. He's going to run into a lot of shots. And, Yair Rodriguez is not known for having power in his hands. He was able to hurt Brian Ortega pretty bad. So I don't see any pathway for Brian Ortega in this matchup. It would have to be, a crazy scramble where he's able to maybe grab a hold of some type of limb and go for, like a rear naked choke or some type of a joint, leg submission, but I doubt it. I really doubt it. I don't see anywhere where Brian Ortega has success. I think he will likely get finished here. Actually get finished. The only time he's been finished was against Max Holloway, but that was like more of a stoppage, doctor stoppage or whatever. I think he would actually get stopped here, and it'd be pretty brutal. Defensively, he doesn't really do anything. It's like he just walks through shots, and then he eventually starts to put the pressure on you and break you, but you can't do that against Ilia. He doesn't take his head off the center line. He doesn't really have any head movement in general. So the KO is bound to happen. I'll put Brian Ortega at the hell no tier, honestly. So the next featherweight contender up is Arnold Allen. Honestly, Arnold Allen actually has a decent chance to beat Ilia Topuria. His footwork is very good. His in and out movement. I think that will give Ilia a lot of trouble early. He has good kicks, good body kicks, good head kicks. His boxing is pretty good as well. Good straight shots. He actually has a very crispy jab. He's starting to learn how to dig to the body, invest in the body like he did versus Giga. Yeah, he actually impressed me in that fight. His striking definitely leveled up. He started to, commit to a lot of shots more. I feel like he was more passive in his previous fights, but he's starting, get the groove. When he gets in rhythm, I think he's hard to deal with at times. He had a good fight with Max Holloway, gave him a good fight. He's a good fighter. I do think that he would be very competitive with Ilia, especially early. He has good takedown defense. So if Ilia were to go to the takedowns, I don't think he'd be able to have much success there. So it's going to be contested on the feet. Ilia is a smaller, shorter, stocky fighter. So I think in the pocket, he's going to have a lot of success. Arnold does hold his lead hand low. I don't really like that. And also when he exchanges, preferably when he throws that left hand, he drops his lead hand all the time. And I think that left hook, the check hook for Ilia would be there all night long. And ultimately, I think he would eventually, hurt Arnold and put him away. And I can ultimately see, a fight where it goes to decision and is very competitive. I don't think he beats Ilia, but, Firas Zahabi, that guy's an intelligent coach. I'm pretty sure they will come up with a great game plan, staying long, using the leg kicks, using the teeps, using the jab. I think it would take Ilia a longer time to finish him as opposed to Volkanovski because he doesn't have, the same defensive tendencies as a Volkanovski. He doesn't back up in a straight line. Like I said, when he's in the pocket, that's where he would be very vulnerable and eventually get caught. I would ultimately put Arnold Allen at the decent chance tier. So we're getting towards the end of the tier list. There's 2 more fighters left. The next fighter is a Russian contender, and his name is Movsar Evloev. So Movsar, he's very well-rounded. He has good wrestling, good grappling. His stand-ups, it's all right. He's working on it. I feel like every fight he adds more tools to his box. He's looking better than ever. But fortunate enough for Ilia Topuria, like I've been saying the whole tier list, his takedown defense is absolutely stellar. So this is most likely going to be contested on the feet. I do see scrambles. I do see Evloev taking that chance and trying to put a pressure and a pace on him. But I don't think it's going to work. I actually think it's going to work against him. Once Ilia starts denying Movsar's entries and starts putting him on the back foot, he's investing to the body, he's landing frequently. I think that's going to take a huge toll on Movsar's gas tank. In the past, he slowed down before, like in the Hakeem Dawodu fight and his most recent fight versus Arnold Allen, he did slow down a little bit. I think that's going to be a huge factor. I ultimately think that the fight's going to be a high pace, and I don't think that with the body shots that Ilia will incorporate, Movsar will be able to, hold up with the pace. I think eventually he gets drowned and he gets stopped against the fence. It's kind of crazy that a lot of his KOs he doesn't have a lot of KOs, but all of his stoppages or knockouts, they've been when his opponent's on the back foot against the cage. That's where he has his, best moments, and that's where he's the most devastating. So with that being said, I would have to put Movsar. This is kind of hard. I want to say decent chance, but you know what? I'll give him that respect. I'll put him at decent chance, but I don't think he's higher than that. No way. So we are now at the last and final opponent. October 26th in Abu Dhabi. Ilia Topuria's first title defense against Max Holloway. So this one, very anticipated. Everyone wants to see it. I think it's going to be one of the fights of the year for as long as it lasts. So the thing about this fight is, I know I'm going to make a lot of people mad. I love Max Holloway as well. Who doesn't? But there's a lot of variables coming into this. I will say that against TKZ, he was getting hit very often. Against Volk in the third fight, he was basically a punching bag. I don't know. I feel like even versus Arnold Allen, the fight was very competitive. He obviously won, right? But it was very competitive in my opinion. I just think that at this point at 145, he's gotten a little slower. You could tell in that Volk 3 fight, his speed has kind of decreased. I don't think he has the same power at 145. That's pretty obvious. I think that's not a debate. He's still elite of the elite, of course. But my thing with this is, the first time he fought against Dustin, he was kind of, skinny fat. He didn't really have a lot of, muscle mass on him. He didn't look the same as the way he looked against Justin Gaethje. He didn't prepare for 155. The way he looked against Justin, he was a bigger guy. He actually looked like a lightweight, right? But we already know that previous to that, 145, the cut was already, kind of hard for him. It was a horrendous cut. He's a big guy. I believe he walks around in the high 70s, maybe low 80s. So he's packed on the most muscle mass ever in his career to go to 155, right? And before that, when he was at 145, the cut was already bad. Now he's cutting back down to 145 while being the biggest he's ever been in his career. I think that's very dangerous against a power puncher like Ilia Topuria. And the thing with Max is when he gets into 50-50 exchanges, his head's always on the center line. He rarely moves his head. And that's obviously very dangerous against a precision power puncher like Ilia, right? That overhand right that he loves to go to is there all day. I think another thing with Max is a lot of people never go to his body. That's another thing that Ilia could do. He can slip under Max Holloway's punches and counter to the body. I think that will take a huge toll on Max Holloway's tank. I don't care who you are. If you get hit to the liver enough times, it's going to start affecting you. Also, I think Ilia has showed that, he actually can be effective with leg kicks, I think that will be another target by Ilia. And I think that's going to, take a toll on Max as well. But on Max's case, Max is great. Even though his head movement, I mean, he has good head movement, but he doesn't really showcase it. And when he starts getting into his changes, he doesn't really, tend to move his head and get away from the shot. He can stay long. He has great kicks, great body kicks. He has obviously good boxing. He go to the body as well. I think he can stick a jab on Ilia. I think those kicks will keep him at bay for a while. The head kicks as well, of course. I don't think he's as snappy and as quick at 145 with the head kicks. The part that really interests me in this fight would be who's on the front foot and who's on the back foot. And I believe they'd probably trade the front foot a lot. I believe if Max has Ilia on the back foot, I think Max would have more success rather than if he's on the back foot. Because if Max is on the back foot, I think Ilia is going to tear him apart. But I think if Max has Ilia on the back foot, I think that Max is going to have, a lot of success with the pop shots, and volume. The thing about this fight, just like the Sha Ali fight, is Ilia doesn't really like Max and Max doesn't really like Ilia. So I think this is another matchup where his ego would be involved. And like I said, even in the Sha Ali matchup, I think Ilia could make this fight easier than it would have to be if he were to level change, mix it up, and possibly sub Max Holloway. But I think when Max Holloway starts landing shots on him, I think Ilia's, he's going to turn into a matador. He's going to want to fucking, find that button, find the switch, put him away. So I think that actually favors Max in a way. And when, it starts getting to championship rounds, if it does, I do think that Ilia would start slowing down. Not significantly, but, maybe Max could start taking advantage of that. But then again, he puts himself in the line of fire to get knocked the fuck out. It may never happen because we keep saying, oh, Max is going to get knocked out, Max is going to get knocked out. But it never happens, which is crazy. He has that Samoan chin. But as I reiterated, the cut is what really, really concerns me. If this is Max Holloway, not at 55, I'd give him more of a chance. But then, it's kind of hard because, Max against Justin, he was against the odds and he was able to, finish him, look great and finish him. So it's hard, to doubt Holloway. He might make it happen. You just never know with the guy. I'm going to have faith in him. Like I said, I really think the cut is going to be his demise, but I'm going to give him that respect. It's Max Holloway. I do think Ilia would beat him, but I'm going to have to put Max Holloway at the 50-50 chance versus Ilia. Like I was saying previously, if Ilia mixes it up, I think it would be easier for him to win. Like, granted, Max Holloway does have, elite takedown defense. Volk was able to take him down, and I'm confident Ilia will. A plus B doesn't always equal C, but I'm confident that he will be able to with his double legs. I think he would actually have a lot of success with the body lock, and trips against the longer, taller fighter. He has great Greco-Roman in general, judo throws, things of that sort. I think it's going to be a great fight either way. Like I said, like I've been saying, the cut is what really scares me. And that's something that people don't really look at. People are just, oh, it's Max Holloway, oh, it's Ilia Adesanya, whatever. But like these cuts, when a fighter goes up and down, like it makes a difference, and it can take damage on their body. And Max Holloway, he's taking a lot of damage. I believe he's taken the most significant strikes to the head. So that's another thing. But all in all, I think it's going to be a great fight. It would be cool, to see Max get his belt back, regain that championship belt. But I just think it's a long road. Ilia Topuria is nothing to play with. And I think people are going to start respecting him after this fight. But yeah, I will put Max Holloway at the 50-50 chance. So Max Holloway and Sha Ali are there. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to disagree with the Sha Ali take. I don't mind. I mean, I get it, bro. I honestly get it. It's just when ego is involved, people's game plans sometimes go out the window. And I think that would be the case in the Sha Ali matchup and also the Max Holloway matchup. So that concludes the tier list. Let me know if any one of y'all disagree with any of the tier list placements or the analysis. I would love to, have a debate or whatever you want to call it. At the end of the day, it's all opinionated. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll be back with another tier list. after Sean O'Malley knocks Merab the fuck out.
The reigning